Hey, thanks, Todd. I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, I had the privilege of getting to see you and Selah the other day and got a chance to worship with you three. Wanted to say I appreciate what you do.
Man, thank you. Thank you so much.
You have a new album coming out, right?
Yeah, Unbreakable. Just came out. It's our 9th album, I think. This is our 20th anniversary. And, just released honestly, probably my favorite album that we've done so far.
Very cool. How do you all go about selecting songs for your albums?
Yeah, that's a great question, Kyle. There's several different things. Typically, each of us might have a couple where we're just like, man, I really want to do this song. I really want to do this one. And so you play it for the other guys. And we have enough trust and respect for each other to where generally songs I bring to the table, I know that they'll like, and vice versa. And so we'll kind of start off with a big, huge list. And then we always do a lot of hymns. That's always been a bedrock. So we'll make sure that we have plenty of those. And then you just kind of work through the songs and see how they sound. Because a lot of times what you think in your head, it may not turn out that way once you start to record. But I think with this album, we started it 3 years ago. Right after we had released You Amaze Us, we started recording right away. And generally we'll do a lot of our piano vocal songs first because it's a lot easier to do and it's a lot cheaper to do.
Sure.
When you're waiting for there's generally like a 9-month gap as far as your record label giving you a budget for the next album. At least that's how it is in our contract. And so to get things going, we'll start beforehand, but we'll just do piano vocal because we're not paying anybody to do that. And it also allows us to work out songs that we may eventually include a full band on. And then we kind of just, we continue to record. We'll look for other songs or we'll write some. I wrote several on this album, one called People of the Cross and one called Lord, I Trust You. And there may be like a passion project or an area of interest. And so for me, it's the Persecuted Church. And so both of those songs were inspired by events like when ISIS beheaded the 21 Egyptians. I wrote People of the Cross shortly after that. I think it might have been the same day, that evening, in response to that. And Lord, I Trust You was inspired by stories in northern Iraq and Syria, and in particular a mom who had to put out the fire on her daughter, who ISIS had come in and poured gasoline on her and their house and set it on fire. And she had to put out the fire and for a month nursed her daughter back to health. And then finally, Rita, Faithful was the mother, and Rita was her daughter. And Rita looked up at her mom and she said, "Mom, you have to forgive them. You have to forgive them." And she died after that. And so with things like that where it looks like evil is winning, trying to answer or trying to give a response for people as far as, what do we do with this? Because a lot of times that kind of thing can rock our faith where we go, man, God, are you losing? So with People of the Cross or with Lord, I Trust You, it's reminding people that God is glorified in suffering and God is glorified in persecution. And even when evil is having its way, God is still in control. And so with these different songs like People of the Cross, ISIS said, we're going to kill them because they're People of the Cross. And we wanted to take that name back and say, yes, we are People of the Cross. And Jesus promises that we will suffer. He promises that we will go through hardship because of our faith in him. But those men will be rewarded for the way that they suffered. And immediately, if they have a relationship with Jesus, they're with him. Sometimes songs take on that kind of thing. Other times it's last-minute songs where you hear it and suddenly you go, we got to put this on the album.
Wow. I mean, it sounds like a very powerful album, one that is set up to glorify God no matter your circumstances.
Absolutely. And I think with the titles Unbreakable, I think that, and Unbreakable, flip the coin there. You've got People of the Cross, which is very serious and very intentional that way. Unbreakable is just a fun, poppy, almost like a dance tune. It's a song we've never done one quite like that before. We always do a huge variety, but it's very light. Lyrics are definitely there's a depth to them, but it's one of those songs I could see people working out to or doing aerobics or going on a run, and it's a fun one, and.
Yeah.
But the theme of it, Unbreakable, the reason why we chose that as the title is because we believed, usually we'll finish an album and then we'll kind of look and go, is there a central theme? And typically there is. And with this one, Unbreakable was what really came to mind because in the case of people of the cross, even when believers die, they're one with Jesus. With Lord, I trust you. It is a reminder of regardless of what happens, regardless of what we go through, if God is not good and if He's not there walking with us, then He's a liar. And so there's no reason to believe this. But if He is who He says He is, and we believe that He is, then we have to walk with Him and trust Him. And it could be that He's the one who's bringing us through. It's His thing. It's His choice to bring us through these hardships or horrible things because that's part of His will. But He's still unbreakable. He is still there with us. And then you have songs like Carry You, which is an old Leslie Phillips song, but there's a constant theme of Him, Him being unbreakable, His love being unbreakable, it being, as the lyrics say, unshakable and unmovable. And that's a consistency throughout the whole project.
Would you say that is your hope for the album, that when people hear it, they're encouraged that through Christ they are unbreakable?
Yeah, I hope so. And I hope when they, as far as that whole theme goes, they don't come away from it going, man, I can do whatever I want, or, I have my own power. Hopefully what they come away from it is, like you said, that they are unbreakable through Him. So regardless of what happens to them, as long as they are relying on His strength and on His power, that they're unbreakable. Another theme that we really want people to come away from with and hope that they take action on is we have a song called I Got Saved, and it's our first single. And my wife heard it at a retreat. You were talking about how you come up with the album. We were done recording the album. We'd recorded for about 2.5 years, and I get a call from Angie, who's an author and a speaker. My wife was on the road, and she said, hey, are you done with the album? Are you done with Unbreakable? And I said, yeah. She said, well, I just heard a song sung by the worship team here, and you guys have to do it. And I'm like, no. Like, we're done. And she loved it so much that she stayed the next day. She was speaking the next day, but then she was supposed to leave, and then the worship team was singing it again. Well, she waited so that she could videotape them. Almost missed her flight, but recorded it so she could play it for me, and wouldn't text it to me. She's like, I'm going to come home, and we're going to watch it on my phone. And so we did, and as soon as I heard it, I knew we had to record it. I just got chills, and haven't had that kind of reaction to a song since the first time I heard the demo for You Raise Me Up. And so it's I Got Saved is what it's called, and it just reminded me of when I was 5 and when I accepted Jesus, and that it was real. Because there's sometimes where I just kind of go through the motions, and it just feels like I'm, just a performer or a poser or a player, and you start to go, man, is this really real? Am I really living this out? Did He really do what He said He did? Did He really die and rise? And that song just brought it all back for me. And it was like, yes, He did. Yes, He is who He says He is. And look at what He did. It is all about what He did for me. And I got saved, and I've been transformed.
Well, praise God. You said earlier that this was probably your favorite album.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think there's several different things. The Christmas album's always been my favorite, and that's right up at the top. The first one's special because it was the first one, and we made it on a $2,000 shoestring budget, and we did it independently. And then Curb Records heard it, and they signed us after that. But this one, I think Unbreakable, the reason why it's my favorite, I think it's the most eclectic. Stylistically, it has a huge range, from Unbreakable being more of a dance pop tune to I Got Saved being more of a straightforward like pop worship song to Leaning on the Everlasting Arms. We were doing an interview, and we were asked to sing with Ron Block, who's part of Alison Krauss and Union Station, and he's a phenomenal guitarist. And so we both had recorded Leaning on the Everlasting Arms on previous albums, and so we're like, well, why don't let's do that one, let's work that one up. So literally right before the interview, we start working up the song, and then recorded it for CCM magazine. It was just supposed to be for their website. And at the end of it, and we stood around this one mic, like you do, like in the 50s, back when they would do that kind of thing. And at the end of it, we're just like, man, this just feels right. And our album was done. Like, we'd already done I Got Saved. We did another song called Broken Ladders because there were too many solos it sounded like a Todd Smith solo album instead of Amy being on it. So Broken Ladders is her lead. And probably a month later is when we did this interview. But we were like, we've got to do Leaning. And so then later on, brought Ron into the studio, and it's just him on guitar and us singing, and it's incredibly simple, almost Americana-like. And so we have that one, and then you have hymns like a bluesy version of Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, I'll Fly Away. Alan redid a Point of Grace song called Jesus Will Still Be There because we had toured with them, and Denise from Point of Grace had said on the tour, hey, instead of us just doing our stuff and you do your stuff, what if we combine in the second half and we sing some of your songs and you guys sing some of our songs? And so Alan on the tour sang Jesus Will Still Be There, and then said, hey, would you guys be okay if we recorded this, because he loved the song? And the girls were like, yes, go ahead. So there's just a big variety musically, lyrically, thematically, what it talks about, whether it's talking about the persecuted church or Broken Ladders, where Amy is. The reason why that song hits home with her so much is because she's felt like a failure on and off as a mother, as a wife, with weight struggles. And this song talks about, how you're always trying to achieve and you're just constantly climbing these broken ladders that are never going to reach anywhere. And all he wants is your heart. He wants you to turn things over to him. So I feel like we have a lot to say, but also from an artistic standpoint, I think the album is incredibly interesting and really diverse.
Oh, very cool. Well, I encourage everybody to go online, go to your local Christian bookstore, or anywhere that you can buy an album, and get the new Selah album, Unbreakable, and check out iTickets.com to see where you can catch Selah in your neck of the woods. Todd, I appreciate you and what Selah is doing for the kingdom and your time today.
Man, Kyle, thank you so much. And, man, thanks for what you guys do. I know a lot of times I'll look on our website when I'm posting a link for concerts, and iTickets is the main way that people are getting to buy the tickets. And so just appreciate what you guys do. And for all of you out there, support iTickets.com, because they're doing incredible work to get people out to Christian concerts, and they've been a huge support to us as far as people being able to find out where our concerts are and purchase tickets and come to see our events.